I 100% thought that my days of Ozempic were over. Kind of crazy how things change. Hey y'all, I'm Mila, the Hangry Woman, and today I'm going to be making a video that I did not think I would be making again, and it's about getting on Ozempic again. If you like diabetes content and you want to know more about living a healthy and happy life with diabetes, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. I live with a type of diabetes called Latent Autoimmune Diabetes in adults. It's a slow progressing form of type 1 diabetes, and I talk about all things diabetes. I do it here on my YouTube channel, and I also have a blog that details all of the types of information that you need to know about living a good life with diabetes. And with that, let's get to it. If you've been around my channel for long enough, you know that I have had a roller coaster experience with Ozempic. I have plenty of videos on it, so I won't go too deeply into the details, but after 10 months of taking it, I ended up getting off of it because I was experiencing some seriously scary heart palpitations and tachycardia, which kind of just made me be like, I need to stop this whole thing. I can't do it. I don't want to do it anymore. For me, Ozempic helped with a few things. It really made my line on my glucose chart with my CGM basically a straight line. So I would eat and I wouldn't get these huge spikes and dips. I would actually stay kind of like steady and straight throughout eating, exercising, all of that kind of stuff. It also reduced my appetite significantly. So I wasn't able to eat much and I would get full just on water. And I talk about this in some of my other videos about Ozempic and kind of what that was like and how that made me feel. Ultimately, after I got off of it, I was able to maintain my weight and lose a little bit more weight afterwards, even though it was harder than when I was on Ozempic, and I didn't have the side effects anymore, so I felt good. But what was happening was that my blood sugars after stopping Ozempic were just not leveling out like I needed and wanted them to, and so I waited, I don't know, like 8 or 9 months maybe after taking it for that first round to ask my endocrinologist if I could go back on it. And he looked at me like I was a little bit crazy, but he was like, it was working really well for you. It had reduced my A1C really quickly within 3 months, and I was just noticeably healthier and doing well. But the issue for me was that the heart palpitations that I was experiencing were just so uncomfortable that I didn't want to go through that anymore. So when I went to my last doctor's visit about 6 weeks ago, I asked my endocrinologist if I could get back on it, and he was like, you had some issues with it, but if you are willing to try it again, let's try it. And so it's been about 6 weeks since I started Ozempic again. And what's really interesting about this time around, is that it's quite different from my last time. So last time I experienced nausea. I had to go back and forth between 0.25 milligrams and 0.5 milligrams because every time I had increased, the heart palpitations got worse, the nausea got worse. I couldn't leave my house. I needed to be near a toilet like all the time. And eventually that stuff went away. But when I retook Ozempic this time around, I didn't have any of those initial gastrointestinal side effects, any of the nausea, any of the vomiting, none of that. It's like I took it and I was expecting that I was going to be really sick for a few days, and nothing happened. And I was like, did I take it right? Like, I've done this a million times. I know that I'm not doing this the wrong way. This is so weird. And then after the first or second week, I started to see that my appetite was reduced. I started to see that I was losing weight, albeit slowly, but still losing weight. And I just had a lot more energy, and my blood sugar lines started to get straighter. I wasn't getting, like I said before, those huge peaks and then those dips. And so that was really interesting for me to see. And then the other thing that was really interesting for me to see is that I did not have any heart palpitations. I honestly have not had any side effects from Ozempic at all, which I find really, really interesting this second time around. And I don't know if my body is just used to it, and so that's kind of what's happening here, is like I had already taken it, my body had kind of gone through that process, and then now it's like nothing. But I started off at the 0.25 dose, didn't have any side effects, didn't feel anything, and then went up to 0.5 and still haven't felt anything. And I actually have an endocrinologist appointment today where I might increase, just depending on how my endocrinologist feels about it, and I might finally make it to the 1 milligram dose, which for me is like, I never got there. The first time I was never able to make it there because my side effects were so severe. So it'll be really interesting to see if I move up, and I'll update you guys in that respect, in that range. Now, I also want to make it clear that my use of Ozempic is specifically for diabetes. I don't have a goal truly of weight loss at this point. I know people will be like, oh, well, you should lose weight, but I mean, I just got my labs back. Everything in my labs are perfect. You know, cholesterol's in line, kidney and liver function are in line, no more vitamin D deficiency. Like, I'm doing really, really well overall. Blood sugars are just the sticky point and the part where we're trying to tweak and find out what works for me. And if my time on Ozempic this time is anything like my time on Ozempic last time, my blood sugars are gonna normalize and my labs are going to be completely perfect. So I'm kind of excited for that. I think a lot of people are on Ozempic right now for the weight loss benefits, and you know, we've seen in studies that we've seen from studies that people with diabetes and insulin resistance can benefit from weight and fat loss, and it decreases insulin resistance, increases insulin sensitivity, and helps you to utilize insulin a little bit more efficiently. I have a type of diabetes that is never going away. I will always have to take insulin. It doesn't matter how much weight I lose. Losing weight may in turn help me use a little bit less insulin, but it's not going to change the fact that I have LATA. It's not going to change the fact that I have beta cell destruction and my insulin producing beta cells are being destroyed by my immune system. So I'm always going to have to take insulin. I'm always going to be in that boat. I think that people make the mistake of thinking that if you're fat, you are unhealthy. That is not true by any means. I think I have proven that time and time again. And like I said, I just got my labs back. They are pristine. So the fat is not the problem. Might be the problem a little bit, but we're working on that. We're trying to find a way to help my insulin resistance and get me to a place where my blood sugars are normalized, and you know, we're meeting that target every single time. I'm actually really excited to be on Ozempic again, but I am having a few issues with it. So for one, the price, it is pretty expensive for me. It's about $350 every 3 months, which I think is expensive for a prescription. I know I take insulin, actually the insulin that I take is not covered by my insurance. It's $7,000 every 3 months. So $350, not a big deal, but I still think it's really expensive. I'm able to use a copay card to get my Ozempic cost decreased, but I'm having a very hard time with my mail-in pharmacy getting that done for me. And so I'm trying to figure out a way around that so that I don't have to go without this medication, because it's been absolutely ridiculous trying to make this work. I still appreciate that it's once weekly and that it's a simple injection to take. I take mine on either Sunday or Monday, kind of depends on whether I remember to do it or not, which sometimes I do forget. So I try and set an alarm on my phone to remind myself that it's Ozempic day, and you know, the once weekly injection is just really helpful. I definitely am sick of giving myself injections. It's hard and it hurts, and you know, it sucks, but that's my life. So I'm not getting away from injections ever, and I just have to deal with that. So a once weekly one is not so bad. I right now have an injection that I have to do daily, which is my long-acting insulin, and then I have another injection, which is my short-acting insulin, that I have to do every time I eat. So not complaining about a once weekly injection by any means. Personally, I have not been affected by the shortage yet. It seems that my mail order pharmacy has it in stock, and so I am able to get it, but I have heard lots of cases of people who've had to skip doses because there's a shortage and they're not able to get the medication. So that's unfortunate. I have a video about why that's happening. If you want to tune into that, I'll leave it in the description box below, along with my playlist of what being on Ozempic was like for me the first time. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. If there are enough, I'll either make another video or I'll do a video update. Let me know if you want to see a video update of what my progress is like every month on Ozempic. I think that might be kind of cool to do. I was doing it every 3 months the last time, and I think that it was fine. You were able to see really like the progress in between, whereas month to month I don't think you see as much progress. But I just wanted to give people an idea of what it was like taking this medication, because when I started it back in 2020, there were not many people taking Ozempic, and almost none of them were sharing what it was like being on Ozempic. And so I wanted to share that with other people. I wanted people to see that real people do take this medication, that people with all kinds of diabetes take this medication. Like I said, I have LATA, or Latent Autoimmune Diabetes in adults, which is a slow progressing form of type 1 diabetes, and I take Ozempic and it's covered by my insurance. So I think that it's really important to just share and knowledge share, especially when it comes to diabetes. We are all so different, and so you have to take somebody else's experience with a grain of salt, and you have to realize that they might not know everything and they might not be experiencing the same things as you, but it's good to hear other perspectives about how the medication works, how it works in different people and what it's doing. When I was having horrible side effects, I heard from so many people who were like, I'm experiencing the same thing. I thought I was crazy. And, I would have never known that like this was something that happens if I hadn't seen your video. And so that is really encouraging to me to keep sharing, because it lets me know that sometimes, the science is the science, but our collective knowledge actually living with this condition is super important. And it's really important to share, because you're not alone in this. You're not the only one that's going through it. And sometimes it can feel that way. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked the information. Leave a comment down below about your experience with Ozempic, and make sure to subscribe if you want to see more diabetes related content. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye.